Okay, welcome guys to the next Blender tutorial. So today we're going to be making an egg timer. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to box select everything in my scene, or just press A to select everything. We're going to go ahead and we're going to delete that. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a circle. So with this circle, this is going to be the middle of our egg timer. So what we're going to do is to make sure that both sides are the same length and the same height. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add a mirror modifier. So if we go to mirror modifier, we want to click off the X and add the Z into this one. So when we go into edit mode, if we press F for fill and we go E for extrude, we now have two sides extruding. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to press 1 to go sideways, and we're just going to start making the egg timer from here. So we go E for extrude, we're just going to scale this outwards. And you want to kind of slope it a little bit. Just make sure you're not going sideways as well. You just pressing S to scale. 1 to just go to the side. We got E for extrude again. Scale outwards. E for extrude. Scale outwards. We might want to scale this down afterwards, but it's fine. So E for extrude, and then we scale outwards again. E for extrude. Scale outwards, and then we're just going to go around just to make this little bit of a bulb kind of thing. Just slowly bring it up, and then E for extrude again, bring it up to the top, and then we're going to start to slope back inwards. And then just round it off just at the top right here. So once we've got this, now kind of have our little egg timer kind of thing. You can always edit this if you don't like the size of it, or you can squish it down, or you can make it a little bit taller if you'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and look at my reference image just for 1 second. So, what we can do as well, if you go back to edit mode, if you don't like the shape of that one, we can go ahead and we could just make it, say, a little bit more tighter on the top as such as well. So, once we've got this egg timer thing going on, we can go to object mode, right click, shade smooth, and what you want to do is we're going to go to render tab right here, change out your Eevee to cycles, and then we'll go to the materials tab right here, we'll go new, and this will be glass. So I'm just going to change this material type to glass. We can edit this later on to have a couple of scratches if you want, or a little bit of fading or some patterns on it. That will generally be all in your shading tab. So once you've got this right here, what we're going to do, go down to principal BSDF. We'll change this to glass, and if we go to render, we now have glass. Unfortunately, we can't really see how the glass is reacting right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a plane. Oops. Let's go ahead and add, yeah. Sorry, 1 second. For some reason it disappeared. So we're going to go ahead and add a plane. Just scale this outwards. Now this bulb is a little bit too big, so I'm just going to bring it in. So now when we go into the render tab, we can now see that we've got this nice little glass going on. There's no light in the scene at the moment, but what I can do is let's add a point. Press G, just bring it up. And then I'm going to add a secondary point just on the other side as well. Now we should be able to get the glass effects. We can kind of see it right there. We just turn up the exposure a little bit. And the power just on that side, and then we can turn up the power and the exposure on the side as well. So you'll notice that the glass is a little bit foggy, so what we're going to do is just turn down this roughness, and now we've got this nice little glass kind of thing going on. So the next bit that we need to do, we need to make a top stand for it and a bottom stand for it. So when we're doing this, if we take a circle and press G, just bring it up. Just go to 1 at the moment. So you've got that side view. If we go S, we can scale this up. And notice that we've got this line right here. So this is where the top's going to sit. Just going to scale that down so it's just about the size of the top of this. So what we can do now is go into edit mode. You go E for extrude and just bring it up. What you want to do as well is make sure on the inside here, so if we go into the X-ray mode just for a moment, and I'm just going to go ahead and just backtrack that. If we press F, it will fill it, but you'll be able to see this on the inside. You see how you see this on the inside right here? So we're going to build the outside, and then what we'll do is we'll build the inside. So just ignore that for now. So it's got a nice little lip to it. So if we press 1, we're going to go E for extrude. Just give it that slight little lip on the outside. E for extrude again. E for extrude. And we're just going to do some nice little patterns going up the side of this. E for extrude. And then we'll do E for extrude again. Just pull this in. E for extrude. E for extrude again. Scale this outwards. Just slightly. Give it that little bit of a kind of Victorian lip. E for extrude again. And then we'll just take this. I'll do some little bevel patterns just here. Just right there. And then just round it off at the back. So once we've got this underside right here, what we want to do, press 1 on your keyboard. You want to just go ahead, hold down, and select everything so that you're selecting the entire ring right here. We are going to go to 1 again, E for extrude, scale it inwards, and what you want to do is just ever so slightly clip the edge of the glass right here. So we can't really see the glass on that side, but we can on this side. So you'll notice that this is coming onto the inside right now. So this is the glass, and this is our kind of wood surround. So we're going to go E for extrude. Sorry, 1 second. If we go G, just bring it down to the bottom. So you've got that nice little lip around the edge. E for extrude. Scale it inwards slightly. Make sure that it matches on the other side as well. E for extrude. Scale it inwards slightly. E for extrude. Scale in. You see where I'm going with this. Scale in. E for extrude. Scale in. E for extrude. And you want to go all the way around this prism right here. Scale in. E for extrude. Scale in. E for extrude again, scale in, and you can just about see the edge right there. So what I'm going to do is just scale it in as far as I can see it, and then we'll just round it off at the base, just about here. So once we go to the objects mode right here, we want to shade this smooth. So this will be our top and bottom. So when we render this, we can now see that we've got this nice little top to it, nice little bottom. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a fancy kind of design. So I'm just going to go back on to this right here. Let's go to edit mode. Take off this wireframing. Oops. Take off the X-ray even. So what I'm going to do on this center bit right here, just place one of these, Control R, E for extrude, and then I'm just going to go ahead and scale this out. And maybe you want to just pull this in just ever so slightly on the edges. Maybe go for another E for extrude, scale it outwards, scale in. So I've got that nice little side going on. So now this is going to be supports for another little design that I'm looking to do on the outside. So what we can do as well is we can go ahead and we can take the top of this. So maybe if we just go to 1, X-ray, just take the top section. I'm just going to scale this top section out so that it matches up with the part that we've just done. So when we've got this now, we can then turn this upside down onto the opposite side. But first what I want to do is add a little bit of detailing. So we're going to add a UV sphere. Press G, bring this up. And my detailing is just going to be on the side just about here. So I'm just going to scale this down. Bring it up just ever so slightly. Shade this smooth. Now, what you want to do, you want to go into the materials tab right here. We're going to make a new one. This is going to be wood. We'll go ahead and just change this to brown to begin with. And we can change the properties of this on the shading tab afterwards. So this should be assigned to wood. We take this one. We're going to go ahead, go to this drop down right here, assign again to wood. Take this little point right here. And what I'm going to do is press G just to bring that in just a little bit. So this is going to be the details. Shift D, bring it across to the opposite side. And we will go Shift D again. Rotate this by 90. Select all 4 on the outside. And I think we're looking at 45 now, so let's go Shift D. Keep it where it is, rotate, and then put it as 45. It's got this nice little pattern going around the outside. We could do something in the middle right there, but if you select all the balls that you've just done, press 1. Make sure that you've selected the top as well. We're going to go Shift D. And we're going to bring this down to the opposite side. Now once you get to this point, we want to flip it over. So we're going to go and we'll go rotate. And we'll go 180. Just make sure that just sits and fits very neatly at the bottom. And so this is what it should look like rendered. So we're not quite finished at the moment. It looks a little bit basic. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some little supports on the outside. So let's go back to the regular render right here. We'll go to our cylinder. Let's bring this up. Scale this up. Scale this down. What you want to do essentially, and you could do a half and half if you wanted to. So if we take this and we just scale this down, I think it might actually be better for a circle rather than a cylinder for this one. Let's go with circle. We'll go G, bring it to the middle. And what we'll do, just bring it to the outside just ever so slightly. Now, if you go to the modify tab, we can go with mirror again. Select Z, click off X, we'll go edit mode. E for extrude. Just kind of make a little ball with this, I guess. Scale this in. E for extrude. Scale this in. And then we'll go E for extrude, bring it up. We go E for extrude again. We'll make another little ball on this. Scale this out. E for extrude. Scale this out. E for extrude. Scale this out. If you want to, you can press 1 again so that you can get the correct parameters for this. Scale this one out. E for extrude. Just go slowly in again. And just continue doing this relatively until you get to the top. So we go again with one of these circles. And it doesn't matter what size they are because they'll match at the top anyway, so it's kind of cool. And then we'll just do a through E for extrude. So once we've got to this point right here, we shade this smooth. We want to size this, just S to size, S for scale. Press G, bring it in. And what you want to do is get this to sit on this side right here and this side right here. So we're just going to scale this down a little bit more. And then maybe just bring it out just ever so slightly. So now we've got this nice little pylon going on here. We're going to go to the materials tab. Let's change this to wood. And what I'm going to do, let's go to Shift D. Just duplicate this over. Make sure that it's roughly the same size as the other side even. We'll take these two after selecting them. Shift D. Rotate by 90. So we've got this nice little pattern going on. And then we'll do another one. And we will rotate this one by 45. So this is what you should have after you finish that one. So you can add any patterns to any of these. You can change any of the colours to any of these depending on what you want really. What's your preference? To make sure that you've got the sand on the inside, you can use a particle system or you could make it artificially. I'm going to make it artificially for this tutorial. To make anything artificially, what you want to do primarily, let's go back to one. Oops, yes. Let's go back to one right here. Okay, so you're going to need something in the bottom right here and you're going to need something in the top right here. So with particle systems, I would generally tell you to put a particle system around here so that it comes down onto this bit and then have kind of an animation of it falling through so that it collects in the bottom right here. But today we're not doing that one. So what I'm going to do for artificial is we'll take circle, G, bring it up to the centre right here. What you want to do, if we go into the X-ray mode, you can see that we've got the neck of the bottle right here. Scale this down. And you can also make, if you wanted to, the inside of the glass. Because obviously you've got that nice little lip on the inside of the glass as well. You can experiment with that. I actually might experiment with that. It seems a very interesting concept. Let's go to edit mode with the circle. E for extrude. And essentially what you want to do is just pull this up. Bring this round. E for extrude again. Scale this outwards. And just generally let it follow the edges of the glass. And what you could do as well is you could come into this and you could also edit the surface tension as well to make it look a little bit more bumpy. So when we've got it rendered, we should have it like this. You should see this in the middle. I'm just going to go ahead and change this to kind of, yeah, we could go with that nice little gold kind of colour. Just rough it up a little bit. And I'm going to name this gold as well. And we can put some materials on there as well. So let's go with circle again. Just at the bottom. We're going to go G. We'll bring this up. I'm just going to take this off render mode for a second. So we've got the X-ray right there. And what you want to do, again, just follow it round to where you need it to be. So, let's go on to the edit mode. I'm just going to press F for fill. E for extrude. We'll scale this round. E for extrude again. And then we're going to scale this just at the top. You just want it to run nice and smoothly just around the edges. If you've not already, you need to seal this one as well. Let's see. So we go to edit mode. You notice that it's not sealed at the top, so just press F and that will fill it at the top. So once we've got the render, we've got something like this. And I've not used a colour on this. We need to put the gold onto that one. So you'll notice that the glass doesn't exactly sit right. To be honest with you, I'm thinking about going back into the glass and just doing an inner piece. Maybe that would help. Just trying to think how I would do that, because I'd have to open up the top a little bit, but it might work because you don't need to do both sides because we've mirrored this. So let's go to edit mode. We've got the top right here. So if we go to 1, we go for E for extrude, E for extrude again, scale this outwards, E for extrude, scale this outwards, and just keep going. Just for the inside right here. You notice that this comes out in the middle as well, just pull that back in. E for extrude. And just meet this in the middle kind of thing. Scale that in. E for extrude. Scale it in. I think if we go on the render right now, we can now see that there's kind of an inside to it, which is going to give it a lot more detail, and you've got this nice little bump on the outside now. So, let's just continue on with this. E for extrude. We will get rid of the fill actually on this. And we just go to the end right there. So now, once we get off to the edit mode, we now have this nice little egg timer that's got an inner bit to it. So the next thing that I would say with this is we need to edit the wood a little bit. So if we go onto shading tab right there, you've got glass BSDF, you've got roughness, IOR, all that kind of stuff. So let's just change the glass up a little bit. And what we want to do with this wood right here is add, and we'll go to, let's see, we'll go to, I'm just trying to think. We could do it with a brick texture and warp it just ever so slightly. So we could do it like this. I mean, you could do yours any way that you'd like to. What I'm going to do is let's go with brick width and just put that outwards a little bit more. We'll go scale this up. So we've got this kind of graininess of wood. Let's go ahead and add a colour ramp. And we'll get some browns in here, some reds. Maybe some greens as well. Maybe you're making a game piece or something like that. And I don't know. Maybe the wood's got a little bit of rot in it. And I don't know. It's your world, whatever you want to create. You could have it super shiny, where it's nice and polished and it's clean and it's nice. Or you could just imperfect it just so slightly. Also, you've got bump textures as well, so we could add a bump in here. Go for height. Take that one off. This will give us some surface tension just on the outside. Gonna go ahead and just scale this down just ever so slightly. So you've got these little knocks in the wood as well at this point. We could go ahead and scale it up actually, give it a bit more grain. Also what you could do as well is you could go ahead and add some Veroni texture. So this will give us some cracks in the wood. We could go colour, roughness. And now we've kind of got this nice kind of triangulation coming over the top of it. Just here you can see that. So this will allow us to put smudges on. So if we just have, say, a little bit of triangulation going on, maybe it's a rough cut, then we could go ahead and we could get a bump texture. Let's place this in here, put it to height. Now we kind of have this very rough, kind of grainy wood, if you will. Just turn up the black a little bit to just pull that kind of grain out. And we've not even got metallic on here, but it's like super shiny already. But yeah, you could pull up the metallic, make it kind of like a dark wood. I kind of like this. Okay, so the next one that we want to do is the gold. So the gold right here needs to have some sort of graininess to it to look like sand. So we're going to go with noise texture. Let's go colour, base colour. You'll notice that the gold now goes. Don't worry about that, we'll fix it. So now, what you'll notice with this noise texture is that you've kind of got this very psychedelic kind of look coming in. You see that right there? Kind of all different shades and stuff. So what you want to be able to do is pull that down to a point where it's manageable. So it kind of looks like sand already. So we're going to go add, we're going to go colour ramp. And we're going to go plus, and we'll change this to a nice gold colour. Bring the black in just a little bit, just to pinch some of that colour off. Just a bit more contrast. This white, we could change this to more of a goldy red. And what we could do as well, we could add noise texture. Let's see, noise texture again. We could go colour and roughness. So we can get that nice little roughness in. You could turn up the metallic just ever so slightly, just to bring that off a little bit more. And then we could do bump. Let's add bump texture into here. Just right there. And then colour to height. So I'm just going to make this a little bit more orange. So we've got that gold going on. And then once you finish, just bring up the base right here so it's got something to sit on. And that's your egg timer, or your timer kind of thing. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.